What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at this week's edition of Dynamite, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Jade Cargill WWE bound, Roman Reigns missing the Royal Rumble, has WWE already figured out the men's Royal Rumble winner, some major changes coming to WWE, is Elias gone from WWE, a tag team exits WWE, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new channel, Wrestlelamia Shorts. Now, as always, we won't recap the show, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, MJF math. As tiny math is a thing of a beauty for anyone who has seen Big Papa Pump's mental gymnastics. However, MJF took things to the next level when he broke down Samoa Joe's chance of beating him next week. Whether you call MJF's calculation of probability and odds of a blatant ripoff of Scott Steiner or a homage, it's clear MJF added his own spin to things, taking it up a notch. Number 2, Page vs Cage. Adam Cage's bout against Brian Cage was enjoyable not only due to the quality of the work in the ring, but it was a good use for one of AEW's best big men, Brian Cage. Although Cage needs to start winning more matches, AEW didn't put him in the ring against someone half his size, making him look weak in defeat. Number 3, women's 4-way match was entertaining. The Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, Hikaru Shida, and Toni Storm bout to determine AEW Women's Champion Soraya's opponent next week was a much needed reminder that AEW has some true talents in its women's division. Number 4, build up for Grand Slam. A Dynamite featured a big build up for next week's Grand Slam event, something it needs to do as ticket sales are reportedly very weak. Oddly enough, AEW seems to have spent more time building next week's TV special than it did building up its pay-per-view All In and All Out. Number 5, more than meets the eye. Does the storyline of Sammy Guevara looking to escape Jericho's shadow seem predictable? Well, traditionally a wrestling protege comes up short against their mentor, snapping and turning heel. However, we're confident AEW will put a clever spin on things, making next week's match all the more enjoyable. And what's Don Callis' game? It looks like Callis is doing his best to capitalize on the JS dissolving, as he's now approached Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia about working with him. Both men have turned him down, but what about Jericho's other flunkies who feel cheated by him by breaking the group up? This storyline is adding some suspense to Dynamite, and with any luck it will elevate JS members like Jake Hager and Daniel Garcia, who've been sidelined for far too long. But that was a good. What about the bad? Is number 1, just not feeling it with Storm and Saraya. Is Toni Storm vs Saraya going to be a good match? Well, we'd like to think so, but the build to the match just isn't doing anything for us. The Outcast storyline has been average at best, and surprisingly, Toni Storm's defection from the group hasn't done anything to liven up the Storm Saraya program. Now, there's nothing downright ugly, as AEW did a thorough job setting things up for 2 major matches next week at Grand Slam and providing fans with a good enough variety of matches. AEW is still struggling with airing more competitive matches, but last night's show was an improvement over the last 2 weeks. What do you guys think of Dynamite this week? Let us know in the comments down below. Now, let's move on to the news. Our first story looks at Roman Reigns missing the Rumble. At top of today's news is a report that Reigns isn't advertised for the 2024 Royal Rumble. The story is certain to raise questions since the Undisputed Champion typically works WWE's top PLEs. According to Inside the Ropes, however, at least for now, it doesn't look like the Undisputed WWE Universal Champion will be there. In the first poster for the event, the likes of Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Finn Balor and Damian Priest were all featured, but Reigns is missing. You may recall a report that Reigns was injured at SummerSlam during his match against Jey Uso. The injury was never confirmed and no details have emerged on what it might be, other than it's reportedly not serious. Inside the Ropes pointed out that Roman is being advertised for Survivor Series and is expected to feature at Crown Jewel earlier in the same month. So why not Royal Rumble? Next up, has WWE figured out the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble winner? Now, in other Rumble news, Ringside News recently tweeted about WWE having the winner for the Men's Royal Rumble already picked out. WWE fans are buzzing about the Royal Rumble after the big location announcement today. We were told that the winner of the Rumble has been decided, and it hasn't changed since the decision was made when Ringside News exclusively reported it in June. The wrestler in mind is LA Knight, who has come up over the last few months. However, Give Me Sport commentator Gunther seems to be the top contender to win the Men's Royal Rumble match next year too. Who do you think will actually win the Men's 2024 Rumble? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, WWE splitting up the tag titles. Now it's time for another rumor that WWE intends to split up its Undisputed Tag Team Championship. While fans have heard this rumor largely since the Usos unified the Raw and SmackDown titles in 2022, Better Wrestling Experience reports that titles will be split up very soon. The unified tag titles have been a problem beginning with Jey and Jimmy Uso. While the belts were defended fairly often, the WWE's intent to have the Usos break the record for the longest running tag team champions took away any suspense as to who beat them. When the Usos dropped the belts to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, title defenses were limited by injuries to both men. Creating 2 sets of tag titles should reduce the impact of an injured team, leading to infrequent title defenses or a tournament to crown new champions. With any luck, fans might even see the WWE's tag division improve. Next up, WWE making major changes to PLEs. Now, one of the potential changes to WWE is the way it handles its PLEs. Dave Meltzer's reporting we'll be seeing a lot more WWE trying to get the cities to bid for at least the big shows. The goal is for all 12 pay-per-view shows. Right now I think the goal is 4 or 5 for next year, and maybe as time goes on and as the UFC is doing well, they just went to Sydney. It was a $60 million deal to get 3 shows. With the WWE continuing to be a hot ticket, getting cities to bid on all of its PLEs could bring in even more revenue to the company. Next up, is Edge staying in WWE? Now it's time for an update on whether Edge is staying in WWE. PW Insider recently revealed that the Rated R superstar was removed from the WWE's internal roster. However, PW Insider provided a recent update, with WrestleTalk summarizing the story. Edge was in fact removed from the internal roster of current wrestlers, but not from the internal roster entirely. Instead, he's now listed on what's been described as miscellaneous talent list, which is names that aren't currently active on either Raw or SmackDown. Others on that list, according to PW Insider, include The Undertaker, Steve Austin, Big E, Titus O'Neil, and Braun Strowman. What do you guys think is next for Edge? Is he AEW bound? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, huge changes coming to the WWE title scene. A Better Wrestling Experience is reporting fans could see a change to the title picture. There's an opinion being discussed for the whole new title scheme in WWE. Revamps, new names, weight class, trios, etc. Again, just an opinion discussed. Now that the WWE Endeavor merger is complete, expect to hear about more conversations on changing the WWE. Next up, Jade Cargill headed to WWE. Could the former TBS champion Jade Cargill wind up in the WWE? Well, that's a story making the rounds after a following report from Fightful Select. Fightful has spoken to sources within both AEW and WWE that believe she's headed to WWE. We should specify that we haven't heard of an official offer being made, and as always the case, things can change in the world of pro wrestling, including a situation like this. Cargill returned to AEW at last week's Collision, with AEW booking a rematch between her and Chris Statlander, who dethroned her for the TBS Championship. However, the rematch is taking place on this Friday's Rampage. Now, if Cargill does leave AEW for the WWE, it'll be one of AEW's biggest blunders yet, as he has spent 2.5 years booking Cargill as an unstoppable force until last May's Double or Nothing, when Statlander returned and answered an open challenge, beating Jade for the TBS Championship. But would you guys like to see Jade Cargill in WWE? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Elias Gone from WWE. Now, while there's been no report of him being future endeavored, Better Wrestling Experience reports Elias is not currently under WWE contract. Do you think Elias should stay in WWE? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, a tag team exits WWE. The WWE and the tag team The Dyad, aka Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed, have parted ways. Whilst this isn't a shocker, as they requested their release months ago only to be turned down, the circumstances for the exit is. Meltzer discussed this situation on the Wrestling Observer Radio, saying, "The other two, Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed, are gone. Their contract is up, and I thought that there was going to be some kind of angle or something, but it's just, they're gone." There's no word on what's next for Fowler and Reed, or whether the WWE might mention their departure on a future episode of NXT. Next up, Drew McIntyre inking a new deal with the WWE. Could the universe see Drew McIntyre for several more years? Better Wrestling Experience is reporting that the two-time WWE champion will be re-upping with the WWE soon, noting, is Drew gonna re-sign soon? Drew's current WWE contract is believed to expire around WrestleMania 40. And finally, Bill Simmons fails test. And last but not least, sports broadcaster Bill Simmons had egg on his face after he made a startling suggestion to WWE President Nick Khan during a recent chat about the WWE Endeavor merger. During the interview, the subject of Stephanie McMahon arose, with Simmons offering a way to bring the billion-dollar princess back to TV. Couldn't she come back and do an angle where she and Test are having an affair? Well, Nick Khan handled things smoothly, replying, "I think Test passed away a couple of years ago. As most fans know, Andrew Test Martin passed away in 2009. But there you have it, folks. Our look at Dynamite this week, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below. I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.